Hey everyone, welcome to the Metal Wanderlust YouTube channel. I'm Peter K, aka Trendcrusher. You might have read some of my articles on the website. We're trying something new with the YouTube channel, so if you like this interview, do hit the subscribe button and stay tuned for more updates from us. Now, 2021 was a great year for death metal. I mean, there were so many death metal releases that came out, albums, EPs. Boy, it was a tough time kind of choosing my top 10 for the year, honestly. One gem that I came across last year was an EP titled The Edge of Existence by the American band Creeping Death. Yeah, and if you haven't already got it, it's in reference to the Metallica track. So last year I got a chance to speak to guitarist Trey about the EP, the band themselves, because they've been really prolific in the last 5 years. I believe they're already working on material that'll be out sometime this year. So here's my chat with Trey. Check it out. Hi Trey, how are you doing today?
I'm good, good. It's a gloomy day down here in Texas, but I'm nice and cozy here. So I'm chilling.
All right. So, before we get into the band and your music, uh, it's kind of hard to kind of not talk about Metallica, right? Considering you're named after a Metallica song. So, quick question, and let's warm things up. There's a lot of talk this year about Metallica, especially around their self-titled album, which is the Black Album. So, quick reaction, right? No thinking too much. Where would you place the album among the rest of their discography?
Like fifth. So I would go, this is my personal ranking. I go Ride the Lightning and Justice for All, Master of Puppets, Kill 'Em All, Black Album. That's my rating. So,
Nice,
you know.
nice. Not
But
bad.
and but no, it's like yeah, it's like I know it's like fifth, but like I'm not low rating the Black Album. Black Album's got riffs. I know people like to hate it because it's like their mainstream, like their first really big mainstream one, but like it's got riffs. If you don't think it's got riffs, revisit the track of Wolf and Man. That bruh, song's hard. Sad but true. Song is hard. Sorry, it's true.
Yeah, yeah. I totally agree. Thanks for being a sport about that. But you know what? Let's get what we're talking about. We're talking about your latest EP, The Edge of Existence, that released last week. So, first of all, congratulations. I really enjoyed the EP. But second of all, how's the feedback been so far for the EP? I mean, has it met your expectations?
Yeah, it's well exceeded our expectations, honestly. We really just kind of wanted to release this EP as sort of to kind of whet people's appetites a little bit, to just kind of be like, hey, don't forget about us, because we didn't want to record and release an LP and not be able to tour on it. We weren't sure what the touring situation was going to be like with the pandemic and all that. So we were like, let's do an EP. We'll do some new songs. We'll do some old songs. We'll keep people interested. And then whenever we think things are like looking a little bit better, we'll go and record our LP, which we are planning to do in January. So, hopefully we can get the LP out next year. It obviously depends on, the vinyl thing, all the supply chain stuff. There's a bunch of different variables there, but if everything goes as planned, we'll hopefully have it out next year. So we'll have a ton of new music out for people to kind of chew on after being sort of dormant for a year and a half because of the pandemic.
Wow, that's awesome for everyone who's listening so far. But I'm going to come back to it towards the end of our chat. Hold that thought. Now, I must say, right, when I'm looking at your discography, really, in the last 5 years, you guys have been really prolific. I mean, you've got four releases out, you got a demo out. And when I think about it, like your previous album itself, the LP, which was Wretched Illusions, was released in September 2019. So you guys are like constantly writing when I think about it. Which brings me to my question. When did you actually start writing songs for this EP?
We started writing like basically as soon as everything got shut down. Like we were in the middle of a touring cycle for Wretched Illusions. Actually, we were on tour with the Acacia String, Cubing Mouth Chamber, and Rotting Out when everything got shut down. So we went home. We had our own private jam space. It was one of the only places we could go that was like, we weren't sort of sketched out by. So, and it was also our only source of like social like interaction with anybody besides our the people we lived with. So it was nice to be able to like lean on each other and sort of jam and hang out in that time. But yeah, we had no new songs written at all before we started writing these. We planned on touring all the way up until I don't know, sometime summer of 2020. We were basically going to constantly be on tour. We had a tour with Hatebreed, and Havoc, and After the Burial lined up. We had a headliner tour lined up, and obviously all that got canceled. So we just, we're like, let's just make good use of our time and write as much new stuff as we possibly can. And, that's what we did. And, it was all the LP and the EP were all, like I said, is all kind of the same session. Just kind of throughout the pandemic. And even now, we're still tinkering and, sort of writing new stuff here and there for the LP. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited new stuff we're trying on it. So, yeah, we had nothing coming into it, but, like I said, we made good use of our time, I think.
Wow, that's really awesome to hear because, like, compared to all the bands that I've been speaking to the last 18 months or so, compared to them, the pandemic has really been a boon for you, right? In terms of at least writing new music, which kind of brings me to my next question. And I'm going to quote you on this. This is from your press release, where you say that you freely admitted that you're a selfish band in so much that you only write music for yourself. And if it's not like, fun for you to play, then you don't want to kind of listen to it yourselves. Can you shed a bit more light on that? Really love to know what you mean by that.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. It's like, if we're gonna have to listen to the songs we're playing over and over, it's like we should be able to enjoy it. Like, you don't want to listen to songs you don't like, right? Over and over, even if you are getting paid to play them. Like, that's the way I look at it. When we started this band, it was always for fun. It was always just, we were just hardcore kids, just hardcore punk kids, just wanting to play metal, and we were playing metal to our fellow hardcore kids, friends, and it just kind of took off from there. But we never really lost that attitude of like, yeah, it's like if it's not fun, like let's not do it because like you kind of put yourself through some shit, playing music, especially playing heavy music. So it's just like why would we put ourselves through it if it's not fun? So it's got to be fun to play, fun to listen to for us first and foremost, and then if everyone else vibes with it, then like sick. And then if not, everybody hates it, and we can't be a band anymore. Then like, yeah, it sucks. But at the end of the day, it's like I have a college degree. A couple other people we went to college as well. We would be fine. Like we could get jobs and live content, happy lives. So like we're obviously blessed to be able to have the opportunity to do this. But like if we're not going to risk our mental health and over it. So like yeah, it's got to be fun. It's like it's got to be fun for us first and foremost because otherwise it's like then you're just in a metal tube with a bunch of other people just not having fun. Like who wants to do that? Like when you could just be at home around people who want to have fun with you. So like I said, yeah, got to be fun first and foremost.
Yeah, like I've heard the story of how Deep Purple hate to play Smoke on Water, and I'm sure like you don't want to reach that kind of stage, right? Where you're kind of
Yeah,
doing.
yeah, exactly. Like even like if it's a song like even the song that we're like, oh, we're tired of playing this. The only reason we're tired of playing it is because it's like a little bit too long. And then it's like, okay, now it's like maybe we won't write a song that long anymore. And so it's like you kind of just learn little things here and there. But it's like we still like the song. It's like all of us enjoy the song, listening to it and playing it. But it's just like, so yeah, the song's a little bit long. Like when we're tired in a set list, like, it's like, oh, this one. But yeah, we don't really feel that way about any of our songs. We like listening to them and playing them. So hopefully we can continue that. I mean, I say that now, but we'll see what happens 10 years down the road. Maybe I'm like, man, fuck that song. I never want to play it again. But who knows?
But having said that, right? I mean, considering you are only making kind of music for yourself, does reviews or negative reviews, if I may ask, kind of like affect you? Or do you just not read reviews or
Oh,
look at the best
dude,
of
I'm
your list?
so bad. I am so bad. I know you're supposed to, because you're supposed to care because the sales and all that, obviously that affects that. But like, I just cannot bring myself personally to give a fuck. Like, I don't care. Like, thank you. Like, people who, all the media outlets and like who review it and do that, either way, both ways. Like, I obviously there's a utility for it. You're getting music out there. You're getting people to check it out, even if it's like inflammatory. It's like, this sucks. Somebody's like, oh, this sucks. I want to check it out, and it's still beneficial to you. But like, just for me personally, it's just like, I don't know. It's just like, it's everything is just, my taste is so subjective. It's just like, if you don't like it, I'm like, cool, it's subjective. I'm sure there's shit that I don't like of yours. It's like, I don't really take it personal or anything like that. It's just not a big deal. Like, I don't know. I'm probably the worst artist of all time. Just creating shit and not giving a fuck. I mean, I know my band, like my bandmates, they check and they like actually care. I care. Like, I care what people think. Like, I want people to like it, obviously, but like, I mean, like, I don't know, dude. Just like, it's hard for me to like find that, I don't know, in me. Like, when I see a review and it's just like negative, or it's a comment, it's like, oh, this sucks. It sounds like everything else. I'm just like, cool. Go listen to everything else then, bud. Like, thanks for the stream, or thanks for the fucking 30 seconds of that you took into it, because it still runs up the numbers for us. So, I mean, I don't know.
So I must say, and I'm sorry if I'm going to dwell on this for a minute more. What's been the review that really got you like rolling your eyes and wondering that whether the reviewer actually listened to the music or was just like looking up the band picture and kind of wrote a review?
Honestly, it's not really that. It's usually just like comments and like meme pages. Like, that's a real big thing. It's just like, there'll be like metal and death metal meme pages. There was one time a meme page, like, it was like, fuck bands like Gate Creeper and Creeping Death, because like old school death metal is so played out and blah blah blah. And that, I guess that made me kind of like roll my eyes. I'm just like, okay, let's just listen to what you want to listen to, bro. Like, we all got Spotify, Pandora. Like, you don't got to spend time on shit you don't like, bro. Like, I don't know. It's fine. It's no sweat off me, bro. I'm not tripping about it.
So I'm glad you brought up Great Gatekeeper, but I'm again going to hold that thought for a bit because I have a question which
Mm-hmm.
is related to him. And I actually spoke to Chase a couple of years ago when they put out the album before they really broke out. But I must ask you, I mean, when I was reading up on the EP, right, it's the recording debut of your guitarist, AJ Ross. So
Mm-hmm.
tell me what was that like? Because you were in a pandemic and we're still kind of in there. All together. This is like the only kind of social interaction you're talking about, right? How was that
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing? I'm sure it's brought you out, all of you seeing each other in completely different light and friendship, right?
Oh yeah, we really, like I said, we really leaned on each other while writing on it, while writing this stuff, because like, AJ, he lives alone, so it's like, we were literally for a long time the only people that like he saw. So we would hang out, and I felt safe going to his house because it's just like, he lived by himself, and at the time, for the first few months, everybody was like pretty much unemployed, so it wasn't like anybody was doing anything. So we were able to hang out, jam, smoke, write, so it was chill. He's a good kid. He's young. He's only 24, but he's a good kid. He absolutely shreds. He's in two other bands, one called named Combat with a K, and the other one's named Torture Tube. Other awesome death metal bands. Great, just gets along so well with everybody. Really easygoing, and that's really like one of the most important things, is just like being easygoing, and being able to get along on long trips and traveling, and with time crunches and deadlines and things like that. So it's nice to be able to like have someone who's not only really good but like reliable as well. So yeah, we love AJ. He's a good kid, and he brings a new flavor too as well. That's one thing when I write, even though like I would say I'm still the primary songwriter, I would say. But like I take influence from like all obviously all of my other bandmates. You know, I ask for input for things here and there. I'm like, how should we do this? Yada yada. Like usually, if we bring a riff, either me or AJ, it doesn't end up the way it started. Somebody tinkers with it, somebody kind of messes with it. So when you have all those different influences brought in, and you bring in another one like AJ's, who's listens to completely different types of metal, like a lot. He is a die-hard metalhead. Like I'm a metalhead, but he's like dives so much deeper than I do. So it's like getting at his perspective and his influences is cool. So kind of brings a new flavor as well. So happy to have him on board and to be writing with us.
The EP features 3 new songs, like you said, and
Mhm.
also 3 songs from your first EP, which was Sacrament of Death. Why did
Yeah.
you decide to re-record them?
Sort of in line with our writing session of sort of being able to keep people's like appetites wet, wanting to release music in the time being of like not wanting to tour on a LP, things like that. We were like, we don't want to put too many new songs on it. Like we could have released a 5-song EP, I guess, if we wanted to, with all new songs. But we were like, why don't we just re-record some of these old songs that people back home anyway sort of clamor to hear on the set list. So it gives us an excuse to play those again. Also, it gives us an excuse to expose those tracks to a new group of people that might not have heard them before. So it's kind of a win-win. They're fun. Again, like I talked about, it's fun. It's like those songs are really fun to play. So I like having them in the set list. So yeah, that's kind of what we were thinking where our headspace was at. It's like, hey, let's re-record this. Reese sounds a lot better. We have better gear. We have a different drummer who's like worlds in a way better. Is like all the tracks just sound so much better. So yeah, we're happy with it turned out the way it turned out, and now we can play those songs in the set like for in the foreseeable future. So it's a win-win for us.
Awesome. I'm really glad to hear that. Now, I want to quickly also talk about your album cover. And if I may use the term, I'm kind of old school that way, right? Like, I really like looking at an album cover. And what I really love is that it's an actual painting, if I'm not wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not
Yeah,
like
it is.
Photoshopped, right? So, which
Yeah.
also kind of goes in with your music, because when you look at the album cover, you're like, what the fuck is this? Like, I want to check this out. I want to know more about this band. So, is it something that, commissioned, and, or is it something that you kind of bought? And if you commissioned it, what was your brief to the artist?
Yeah, so our actually our good friend, his name is Tanner Carruthers. He plays in some bands in Missouri. This band called Time Walk. I don't think they play anymore, but that's how we knew him. Just playing over the years, and so yeah, we knew he did art, and he was really good at it. And we like to, keep things with the homies. If there's something that like could all like benefit us and also like give some shine to a friend of ours as well to help them in their portfolio, then we're gonna take that opportunity. Like we had seen his work before, and it was like really good. Like we see him posted on our socials all the time. Like we're all personally good friends with him, so we are like, yeah, let's. Lincoln brought up the idea. It's like, hey, let's get Tanner to do it. Like let's get a homie to do it. We're like, hell yeah. And I've always been a big proponent of like having artistic art in the sense that it's like a painting or a drawing. When it comes to like metal, I like covers like that. So we always try to have some sort of good drawing or painting as far as covers go. And I think the EP, Wretched Illusions as well, and even Spectre of War, I think all those covers are very like, a lot going on, good colors, and, yeah. And a lot of that was born, Reese is the one who writes all of our lyrics, our vocalist. So a lot of the thematic elements, the things like that, that comes from Reese. Reese got with Tanner and was like, hey, this is kind of the idea for the songs of the EP. This is kind of like what it's vaguely about. This is kind of what I want, and kind of like do your own vibe with it. And And we sent him the songs, and he was like, "All right, like let me see what I can do." And so, you know, he just kind of like painted and kept sending us progress. And by the time it was all finished, it was like, damn, like that's really sick. And that's kind of the same process of any art. Usually Reese just like comes up with like sort of a vague idea, and then we send the artist the music and just kind of let them play with their own creativity. Like it's cool to have like an idea obviously realized like to a T. But I always like, again, like the same thing with writing music. I always like to just see what someone else has cooking, because maybe it's something that I wouldn't have thought about, and now it's something way cooler. So that's kind of where it comes from.
Awesome. I'm really glad to hear that. You guys are originally from Denton, Texas, and I'm sure you're
Mhm.
familiar with the band I Am, who have the track Texan Death, right? So, would you
Mhm.
say there is a kind of Texas sound now, or that you're kind of furthering, or what do you think?
I would say there's always been like a Texas like sound, like the whole Texas death thing. First of all, I am. Those are the homies. We've like known them and come up going to shows with them for years. Their guitarist Tom is one of my good friends, like personally as well. So we've known them for a minute. So yeah, I mean, I just think there's a sound, I guess, in Texas in general. The whole Texas death thing, that is all of them. I credit them with coming up with that, like their marketing. Like, I don't want to get like that washed away, because that should be theirs, because it's sick. Like that whole marketing aspect of it, I think is badass. So. The whole Texas death thing, I credit all of that to I Am. But yes, there is a certain Texas sound, and I attribute that to geography. Honestly, I'm not sure where you're located, but like, or if you're familiar with the geography of like Texas compared to where everything else is, but uh, we're about 24 hours from each coast, where the major media centers are on, in America. So it's like, you could either do a long ass tour through a bunch of, sort of like C tier, no offense to the cities in between, but just the populations, like, it would be harder getting shows out there, the gas and all that, to just get to the Northeast or just get to the West Coast where all the big cities are. It's more lucrative to just tour only Texas. We have three of the top 10 biggest cities in the entire country here. So, you could play Dallas, Austin, San Antonio, Houston, and even or play one day in West Texas, and then some combination of those, and you would do way better than going way far out, as far as saving money and making money. So a lot of Texas bands just do that, and when you do that, you play amongst your peers, and you take influence from your peers instead of maybe traveling from city to city, in different areas like that. So it becomes this kind of like its own thing per se, when you have people taking influence from people you're playing with, and it's just like this cycle, and it just kind of turns out to be its own thing. So I think that's kind of what happens here in Texas. I think it started obviously with Pantera, and then like it just there's been so many bands since, Power Trip, Iron Age, that have just sort of been flag bearers. And I just think that like Texans, or also at least Texan musicians, are also very good at looking to the past and like revering the past, and also like helping the later generations as well. So when you have that sort of synergy, that sort of like circular motion, I think it breeds its own special like unique thing.
You're heading out soon on tour with Exhumed, Bewitcher, and Enforced, which is a killer lineup. And you've talked about,
Yeah.
you know, a year and a half being dormant. What are you really, really looking forward to from the shows?
I just think this tour package is such an energetic tour package. I'm really hyped on like Enforced. They released one of my favorite records of the year. Bewitcher, they absolutely rip. Their energetic band, and Exhumed is just so much fun. Like we're playing with Exhumed in our hometown on Halloween. Like that's there's nothing more fun than that. That's so sick. So just the energy, just the buzz of the shows. I just think it's going to be great, because I think you're gonna have a bunch of energetic bands. People are gonna be hyped to be seeing live music again. Like I just think the whole thing is just gonna be a great sort of release for everybody, and I'm excited to do it every night for a month.
A sign of a good EP is that it leaves you wanting for more, right? And you kind of talked that, your next LP will be different, and you keep kind of, furthering the sound of Creeping Death. Now I come back to Gate Creeper. And you know what I'm going to ask you next? Are you going to pull a thing like Gate Creeper, which is going to be like, leave everyone going, what the fuck happened on the last track, guys?
No, I don't think. Since it was in the same session as like the EP, I don't think it'll be like that as like that jarring. But I don't know. Who knows? Maybe we get bored and just decide to write a power violence album, or maybe we decide to write a new metal album, or maybe a pop album, or maybe I don't know. Like who knows? Like I'm not. No, I'm just playing. We're gonna be a metal band, but like we're open minded. Like we're not gonna pigeonhole ourselves. Like if we're bored playing one way, then it's just like let's try this.
Awesome. I'm actually really hyped and looking forward to the EP. I mean the LP, considering you've already kind of got it written and timed out. But last question before I let you go. This is your space. Any shout outs you want to give to anyone? Anything you want to say? How can people get your merch? What are you looking forward to? Just go ahead, add whatever you want.
You can visit Creeping Death dash edgeofexistence.com. That's got the links to buy our new EP. It's got links to merch, links to videos, links to stream, and yeah, all that stuff. So take that down, visit that. As far as shout outs, shout out to if you're listening, check out these bands from Texas, Combat with a K. Our guitar player AJ, as we mentioned earlier, he plays in that band. He also plays in a band called Torture Tomb as well, another Texas band. And then go ahead and check out Tribal Gaze. They're from East Texas. Scourge from Houston. Skeleton from Austin, Texas, and Malignant Altar also from Houston. Oh, and Frozen Soul. Don't forget about Frozen Soul. They're the fucking best. Love them. I'm actually in a band with Chad and Mike called End Times. We're in another band. So those are the homies. Shout out to Frozen Soul. Love them to death. Just shout out to Texas in general. If you see a band and they're from Texas, just check it out.
Awesome. Thanks so much for your time, Trey. I really appreciate it. And that was Trey from Creeping Death. Definitely a band to keep an eye out for this year. Hopefully we'll get an album. Like I mentioned at the start, do subscribe to the Metal Wanderlust YouTube channel. Stay tuned for more cool interviews, reviews, and much more. Until next time, here's Peter K, aka Trendcrusher, signing off. Horns up, everyone.